What's up, everybody? This is the Gridiron Gilly Show. I'm the host, Gridiron Gilly. This morning, I have Coach Scotty Laymance with the Overton Mustangs. Coach, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I appreciate you having us on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for reaching back out to me and getting up with me and letting me be able to do this. Coach, I usually do this. The first reason I'll say, the reason I started doing this, I wanted to shine a light on East Texas football. I feel like a lot of schools in East Texas get overlooked. Um, and I wanted to try to change that, especially small schools, 2A, 3A, and even some 4A schools that don't get the recognition they deserve. Overton, they're 2A Division two, so they're one of the smallest you can get out there in 2A. So that's why I decided to do this, but also it's to shine a light on you as well and the job that you've done at your program. So I usually start by just having you talk about your coaching history, what got you into wanting to coach, where all you've coached at, and then if you want to talk about your staff and some players you want to spotlight, you can go ahead and do that now if you want.
Yeah, sure. I got into coaching. Like probably most of us coaches. Love sports. Growing up was a huge part of my life. From as far back as I can remember. Uh, and then being in that part of it, I figured out early that I wasn't going to be a star in the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball. So I wanted to be able to stay close to the games, as close as I could. And then I had great influences as my coaches growing up. Uh, I attended Brownsboro ISD until I was an eighth grader. And probably one of my big influence there was Coach Wayne Randolph. He was one of our junior high coaches, uh, and most of my family is from Brownsboro. And Coach Randolph, as all of my older cousins grew up, he was a coach for all those guys, and he was a big influence on me wanting to become a coach. And then after the middle of my eighth grade year, I moved to Spring Hill High School, and just the men that were in my lives there, or in my life there as coaches, from my head coach, I had two head coaches there, Maurice Cook and Steve Gaddis. Both of those men are great leaders, but they're just men of God, and they had a profound impact on me. But all the coaches there were, Mike Gilbert, Lynn Heflin, that was my baseball and my basketball coach, Dennis Hedrick, Jerry Blankenship, Doug Nickerson, Mike Bell. Just all of those men were huge influences on me, uh, wanting to wanting to hopefully impact kids the way that they impacted me. Other than my dad and my brother, those guys were the biggest male influences in my life. So I owe a lot to those guys for me getting into this business and wanting to have the impact that they've had on me. So kind of coaching journey. I attended SFA, graduated there in 2005, and was able to get my first coaching job at New Boston High School. Was actually against, or the head coach at that time was a guy that I played against. Rick Barker. He had been the AD at Pleasant Grove when I was a player at Spring Hill. Uh, so that was a great experience for me. And the big reason I got that job was another connection with Spring Hill with Lonnie Henry, who's the high school principal at Harmony High School. Lonnie was a student teacher my senior year of high school, and kind of kept that connection through my college years. And when knew I was getting ready to graduate, I started reaching out to him, and they had a job come open late in July, and it was a great fit. Learned a lot of ball there with Coach Barker and those guys at New Boston. From there, I was able to move on to Ore City and take a head basketball job, uh, and an offense coordinator job at Ore City with Coach Bobby Chadwick. And then Bobby was another huge influence in my coaching career, because I stayed there with him and that staff we had for 4 years, and that was a great chance to see kind of how to turn a program around. I think it had been 12, 13 years before they made it to the playoffs. Our last year, we were able to get in. Uh, and from there, Coach Chadwick took the head coaching job at Spring Hill, and I went with him to be the offense coordinator and head track coach there, which was good to be able to go back to your alma mater, and be able to experience that. Some people enjoy that, some people don't enjoy that for different reasons, and it was a good experience for me. I was able to work with Bobby for a year, and then my last year there, Coach Mark Sartain came in. Coach Sartain had come from the college ranks, ETBU, Trinity Valley, where he'd been a head coach, and it was a great experience for me to see how somebody at that level had ran a program. My experiences had been at the small school and with guys who had spent most of their careers in small schools. So it was good to see a different way to run a program. Uh, and from there, I was able to move on to Union Grove in 2014 and work for Coach Roger Adams there and the staff we had. First year we're there, we went 10-0, which was the first time Union Grove had went 10-0 in one district. I think I'm pretty sure it was 50 years. We were blessed with great kids and a great coaching staff. At the small school level, we had two kids that went on and played, D1 ball. And at this level, if you have one of those, you're going to have a chance to be really good. And then we had two. Uh, Able to stay there for I think 5 years for Coach Adams, me as a defense coordinator. Coach Adams retired, and I was able to get the head coach and AD job there at Union Grove. I was there for 3 years. Had some success on the football field, and had a lot more success in our other sports. And I was really pleased with the way our program progressed there. As things turn out in the coaching world, it may not always be what you want, and ended up being able to make the move here to Overton with my first year. I was the OC and head baseball coach under Coach Justin Arnold, who's now the head coach at North City. Uh, and just since I've been here, it's been nothing but a blessing for me and my family. The kids here have been tremendous over the last 4 years. The community support, the admin support has been as good as anywhere I've been, and it's been, like I said, just a blessing to be able to kind of revive myself, as a coach and get back to really what I got into this business for. And that's to hopefully make a positive impact on kids. Uh, and some of the guys that have gone on from here, Bryce Steele he's currently at Howard Payne, played quarterback for us for the last 3 years. And then, Jaden Edwards was a great standout for us, has moved on to ETBU and played receiver there. To go along with some other guys who've been through our program, and kind of our guys who are standing out right now that we're leaning on. Senior quarterback Rylan Holloman. Rylan plays quarterback, plays safety for us. Had tons of success in his other sports, football in basketball and baseball, leading up to this year, and had some success on the football field playing receiver and DB also. So we were excited to have him take over the reins at quarterback, and he's kind of just taken off just like we thought he would. Uh, then Justin Weir, which we call him Boots. Justin's been a 3-year starter for us at linebacker. 100 plus tackles a year kid, and he filled in for us last week at quarterback, and we didn't see a real drop off offensively, and he's a leader for us offensively and defensively. Some of the other guys that kind of stand out right now in our Gabe Miller, junior running back, outside linebacker, had a great year last year. I think he was newcomer of the year in pretty much every publication around East Texas. He's picked up right where he left off. Another senior, Brody Brown, just a steady hand. He's the kid that I describe him as every coach wants to coach Brody, just because you know what you can expect from him. Uh, Hunter Klima is another senior that's having a great year for us. Has battled some injuries early on in his career, but has been able to be out there, be a big producer offensively and defensively. And it's like I said, it's we're kind of trying to still figure out where we're going to be this year. Still waiting to put it all together, which is we're kind of running out of time. But it's hard to say that when you're 4-2. But we're still looking to reach that the top of our level of success for this year.
So this is your third year as the head coach, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so usually what I do whenever I don't know much about a program, and I'm from Waukegan, and I believe Waukegan's played Overton many, many years ago when I was coming up in school. But I didn't know a whole lot about Overton, so I went back and I looked at some of their records for over the past 10 years, and something that caught my eye from 2015, from the 15 season to the 22 season, their record was 24-58. They had 24 wins in 8 years. Since your time at Overton, 23, 24, pretty much 2.5 years there, you have 24 wins and 7 losses. So it seems like there's been a shift there. The dynamic has shifted and the culture has shifted, it seems like. And it seems like Overton is one of those teams in 2A that can really compete. I know you had a good run last year in the playoffs, and you had a 10-win season the year before that, I believe, too. So if you want to speak on that, you can go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's we I attribute that to our players that we've had and the coaching staffs that we've had over the last couple of years. That was, uh, you know, we've had some players that have really stood out. I mentioned a couple of those, with Bryce and Jaden, uh, but we've had several others. Cash Fletcher's been a big player for us the last. Uh, my first year was Cash's senior year. He's 130, 140 tackles that year. Isaiah Hawkins was a leading tackler for us, a leading receiver for us. Uh, Jaden got a lot of the publication in the last 2 years. Receiving over 50 touchdowns. But Isaiah kind of got that ball kicked off my first year as offense coordinator, and then his senior year, the next year, he was about 150 catches those 2 years. So those are some of the kids, that have just led to the success, as well as the kids that we have currently on this team. I think there's five, maybe six of them that have started since they're freshmen, including Ryland, including Brody, Justin, or Boots. Ethan Oates is in that group. Jacob Osborne. Those kids have all been a big part of the last 2 seasons, and are obviously their roles have changed from their freshman year to now. They're the guys we lean on. But like I say, the coaching staff has really also bought into our culture is the buzzword right now. But our motto since we got here was kind of just be all in. Is take that next step of don't be apprehensive of coming up that to get that extra workout in, to do that extra sprint, uh, to dig a little deeper. All of us have a little something extra to give, and that was kind of our it's been our mantra from day one. And the coaches, from most of our staff has been able to stay together for the last 2 years. Josh Furlow's our offense coordinator. He's been there for the last 3 years. Marty Mayfield, my first year, I moved him over from the girls' side. He was an assistant volleyball coach. He's been our receivers coach the last 3 years. CJ Grimmett coaches our DBs. He's been here that time. Lance Holloman coaches our defensive line. Same thing. He's been here for the last 3 years. Or actually, Lance is going on year 4 for him. Uh, so those guys have been constants in our program. We lost our defense coordinator, Roderick McKnight. He was here for the first 2 years of our little run, and he did a big part. He graduated from Gilmer's, coached at Gilmer, bringing some of those aspects of that winning culture, what it takes to be successful. And then we lost our baseball coach this past year. That helped lead us to the state championship game. And Coach Cook moved on to a bigger school and a better opportunity for him and his family. But he was here for 2 years, and I think last year at the Meet the Mustangs, uh, that was the first time in my career that every coach had returned from the previous season. Uh, other places we may have lost one, and some places, you lose more than that per year. But that was, I think, a testament to our coaches that they see what we have continuing to build and want to be a part of that. And the guys that we've been able to bring in this year, Braden Roby came over from Kilgore as an assistant. He'll be our head baseball coach. He's picked up right where Coach Cook left off. David Chatterton, I coached with Coach Chat at Spring Hill and at Union Grove, and he brings a wealth of knowledge to our staff, and it's been a good run, and I attribute to our success to the kids buying into that all in mantra and our coaches just doing whatever it takes to be successful.
Yes, sir. let's reflect on the season for a little
Mm,
bit, and then we'll talk about the district. Okay, you said you were 4-2. You beat an
mm.
Alba Golden at 45-0. Lost to Carlisle 17-7. Beat James Bowie 34-0. Beat Maud 49-22. Lost to Grapeland 37-27. Then you beat Tenaha 41-7. But you play Lovelady this week at home. What do you see whenever you watch those guys on film?
Oh man, I see a very well coached team. I think their team speed is right up there with everybody that we've played, and probably the best overall team speed. And you can tell that those guys, their coaching staff and their kids have bought into what their coaches are telling them, and they play fast offensively and defensively. Offensively, uh, you know, they've changed up their offensive attack this year. They're much more. Their tempo is much faster. Schemes aren't overly elaborate, and I think they're probably what they're thinking is practice fewer things and get better at those fewer things, and go at such a fast pace that you struggle to keep up with it. And then defensively, they just from the interior D line to the back end of their defense, those guys just fly the ball, and they're that's what I see from those guys. And they don't beat themselves. You're going from whistle to whistle. Those dudes are going to play as hard as they can, and that's obviously a testament to Coach K and his staff, and just the kids there. Our season so far is, we brought a ton of kids back. I think of the 22 starting spots, we brought 14 of those back. So we were expecting, to kind of have a chance to make a little run again. Uh, we're still looking to hit on all cylinders. I'm trying to find that game that where we've clicked on every single thing that we want to click at, and so hopefully Friday night's that night that we get it going. We've had success already this year. Defensively, I think we got two shutouts in there, and I think Carlisle, Coach Baker, and his staff over there, they turned that around a lot faster than what the expectations were, and that's just how hard those kids play for those guys, and so that was two teams that we've lost to are two very good teams. Uh, we got a test coming again Friday. That's what we've challenged our guys with, is try to find that signature win for the 2025 season.
A 2A Division Two, Region 3, District 11. Lovelady won that district last year, and then Overton second, Grapeland third, Mount Enterprise fourth, and then you had Alto Tenahawk Cushing. This year, the experts have Overton and Grapeland swapping spots. I've interviewed a few coaches already. I interviewed Mount Enterprise's head coach, and then I interviewed Elkhart's head coach, and both spoke very highly about Lovelady and like what you said about them. So they're a pretty well known and tough program. But I also want to talk about the region in general, because I also interviewed a coach from District 12, and we talked about this for a little bit. The region itself is, in my opinion, I feel like I can say this. It don't look like a very tough region. Like, you have District 11 is loaded, your district is loaded, and then I think District 9 or 10, whichever one has Mart and
Yes.
Bremond, yeah, Chilton.
Yeah.
That's a loaded district too. Is that District 9?
That's 10.
10?
9 is Maud and James Bowie, Clarksville, Detroit.
Clarksville, Celeste.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so District 10 and 11 are pretty loaded. And
Right.
then, I mean, you got West Sabine in 12. But in my opinion, I believe for anybody who makes the playoff out of your district, I mean, Joaquin, they got fourth in their district last year, okay, and then they won the region outright. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about this here. Is anybody, I believe, in District 11 or District 10 could make that run. You don't have no slackers. Mount Enterprise got fourth last year in your district, and we know what they're about.
Yeah. No, I mean, the four teams that made it last year out of our district, I think three of the four of us played in the regional semifinals, and Lovelady ended up losing. They lost in round two to Bremond, which won the region. So it's our district is very loaded. We felt also. I mean, I think we talked as coaches that if Alto could have got in, or Tenaha could have got in, or Cushing, that everybody in our district had a chance to win that first round game. Cushing had played several of those teams in that other district in pre-district last year and this year, and held their own against them. So I definitely feel, and I think we as coaches in this district feel it is one of the toughest in 2A Division II, if not the toughest. There's some District 10 is loaded. I mean, I think Bremont and Chilton. I think they're both either top 10 teams or right there at being in the top 10. And then, Mart, everybody knows the dominance that they've had over the last 30 years. I don't know if it's 6, 7 state championships in that time, but it's close to that. And the last couple of years, Wortham has been very, very salty. So I don't know who that other team will be out of that district. But yeah, we match up with them, possibly in the second round. So there's a chance that we knock each other out, or how it goes. Matchups always determine that. But this region, yes, it's a little top heavy. I think out of those two districts, West Sabine is having a good year, and they've done a great job with that program. And we played Maud and James Bowie already this year, and I think Maud is leading that district currently. I think they got a win over Clarksville the other day. And I think Coach Turner, crazy. I coached Coach Turner his first year, or my first year of coaching was his senior year of high school. So we've known each other for a long time, and it's I respect what they do up there with that staff, or their program as well. But we're fighting to get in. It's this district. Alto is, everybody in East Texas knows Alto. You say that, and everybody's got their dominance that they've had in the lower levels for the last 30, 40 years as well. Those kids know how to win. Tenahall, not having the year that they're used to, but they still have athletes. We were still worried to death going into last Saturday night's game that if we didn't fit one play correctly, they have a chance to bust it. And Coach Ace does a great job getting those kids at Cushing to play hard. So we've got a lot of tough tests left in front of us, and so it's we feel whoever does get out of our district does have a chance to make a run, maybe to the regional finals, maybe even win it, so it is loaded. So it's fun, playing those games in the season and not wait until you get to the playoffs to play that big game when you have 3 or 4 of them already in your district season. It's pretty, it prepares you much better for the playoffs.
Exactly. Even Frost, I think they were. I don't know anything about them. I don't know if they played a tough schedule, but they're undefeated as well in that district.
Yeah, I don't know. Haven't kept up with. I always tell these other guys that I talk to, coaches wise, sometimes it's hard enough for us to keep up with our own selves that I don't get too caught up with what everybody else has done until kind of the last couple of weeks of the district season, and when everything starts kind of shaking out a little bit more. But yeah. I saw one of my other coaches was talking about Frost. Is that I think they're sitting at 5-0 right now. Now they're getting ready, I think, to play the gauntlet in that district with Bremont, Chilton, and Mart. So it may shake out. I don't know how it'll be. So
I think Mart's got 1 win on the year, but I was like, I'm not going to let that fool me.
No. We beat them we were able to beat them in the second round on a last second field goal. They did graduate some of their key kids, but. I remember looking at the roster that they were littered with 5, 6, 7 freshmen and sophomores that were playing key roles on that team last year. So, and like I said, you can't forget about the tradition and the excellence that they've had over the last several years. So those kids, kind of like Alto and Tenahall, they know how to win, and they figure it out.
Well, even and they're not in your region, but like Monster and Shiner, those teams, it just seems that was the state championship last year, right? Monster and Shiner, or am I wrong? Okay, I know Monster won it. I've been through that town on the way to visit my dad in Oklahoma. There's absolutely nothing there. I guess that's all they do is play football up there. But like even those guys, man, they're scrappy. I don't know what it is about them. It's like Region 4 in 2A Division 1. Region 4, that's always the team that like Ganado, Refugio, Mason, those guys are always in the mix. And Very, very seldom do they not make it to the state championship. And it's where we sit at in Region 3, that's who we always meet in the semifinal. So I was like, man, if we just didn't have to play Region 4 in the semifinal, we could have made a trip to the state championship at least once or twice before.
Yeah, no, it's the matchups. The way it shakes out. I think it was Bremont and Shiner last year to play in the regional or the state semis to get the chance to move on to play in the state championship. And that's obviously you see some of those same programs year in and year out in the smaller schools, and it's a testament to those communities and what they have, the tradition that they've built. Because smaller schools usually see, it's hard to maintain the level of success year in and year out just because there's such a change in your kids because of the lower enrollment numbers. And but for those programs to be able to maintain with what they've been able to do over such a long period of time is just a testament to them. Because it's at the smaller schools, it's tough because your classes can change so much from year to year.
Absolutely. I heard you say a while ago that you won that game by a last second field goal. And I do have a scenario for you at the end of this. It'll be a tough one, probably the toughest scenario I've had yet, but it involves kicking a PAT or going for a 2-point conversion. I'm not sure if you do both or what you do. What you're more comfortable with.
Yeah, so we actually brought that kicker back. Jackson Furlow, our OC son, was a freshman last year, and we moved him up about halfway through the year. He had been our JV quarterback, and we were struggling with our kickoffs. So our quarterback last year, Bryce Steele, was our kickoff guy, and he was really good at onside kicks, but we couldn't get anything where we wanted to kick it. So we ended up bringing Jackson up, and when we played, he actually made 2 game winners last year, one against Mount in overtime, and then against Mart in regulation to finish it off. And so 2 tough situations, as far as tons of pressure on a freshman. And he just walks out there like nothing's going on and knocks both of them through. And bringing him back. So we felt much better with our kicking game going into this year than we did last year. So we feel very solid with him kicking an extra point. It would kind of depend on game situation. I've always felt if we're kind of in control, maybe not in control, but that we can withstand the longer game. We're going to kick the field or kick the extra point to go to keep the game going. If I feel like my kids are kind of running out of gas and we got to go for it right now, we'll go for 2 in that type of situation. But feel pretty good with Jackson, on extra points, and then, up to about a 30, 35 yarder. He's pretty consistent in practice. And like I said, he's kind of shown in tough situations that he can just go out there and kick it through. And, there's not a whole lot of kickers anyway that go out there with that kind of confidence and bravado, and especially a freshman, so excited to have him for the next couple of years at least. It changes your game plan or your thought process once you get inside the 35, 30-yard line. If you got a kid who can make kicks pretty solid.
No doubt. Who would you say is Overton's rival?
Oh, it's Carlisle.
Carlisle?
Yeah, I didn't, being I've coached against Overton, the 10 years I was at Grove, didn't realize, and I heard that it was a rivalry, but I didn't realize the intensity, I guess, until I got here. One of our coaches on staff is graduated from Overton. Coach Arnold had graduated from Overton, and I just didn't realize it amongst the community, and things have changed. In today's world, as a player for me, I never talked to the opposing players from the other team, but with Instagram and Snapchat and all this stuff, these kids, they communicate with each other all the time. So it's still a big rivalry. It may not to the younger guys hold the same as it does to the older guys, just because of just how the world has changed and the communication is so much different. But yeah, that first year I stepped in and we played Carlisle, I was like, holy moly, this is like, it's kind of like a Texas A&M type deal. And I was like, oh wow.
And then this other question was someone asked me to ask this question. Um, I mean, you've already played a few tough teams already, and you have some more tough ones coming up.
Right.
But who do you have circled as the game on your calendar? If you've already played it, or if you're playing it this week, or if you're playing it later on, even. I know who you got this week, so
Yeah, I mean, I know it's coaching cliche, but it's it's the game that we're playing that week is the one we have circled. Uh, we have several on our district slate that we know, like, hey, we've got to be ready to play in this game. You go by Reed and Dave Campbell, you go Grapeland, you go Lovelady, you go Mount. Those teams are ranked high throughout the year, and then Alto and Coach Grigsby and his staff, they're going to have their kids ready to play. That's going to turn into a huge game for all of us that are kind of fighting for those playoff spots. But you know, I was as nervous last week going to Tenaha on Saturday as I will be going having Lovelady come here this Friday, just because of the caliber of athletes and teams in this district that you can get beat on any given night if you don't have. The big focus for us has been mental preparation and the right focus during the week during practice. If you're not prepared in this district, you have a chance every night to get beat. So uh, I know it's cliche, but I'm definitely going to say whoever the opponent that week is the most important game. Uh, but playing those big games is fun during district, like I said, or during the preseason. So gets you so much more prepared for those playoff games.
next question, and then we'll do just some easy questions, and then we'll
Okay.
do that scenario, and then we'll wrap up. But this next question, someone asked me this not too long ago, and I've asked every coach I believe since then. But in your opinion, what's the value of a head coach? Because on Friday nights, you see most schools that most games I go to, you'll see this coordinator calling this play, you'll see these coaches working with this guy, but I don't like the head coach really does much. I know they do a lot behind the scenes. So could you just speak on that and say from your perspective what it is?
Yeah, I think here, I'm offensively, Coach Furlow is our offense coordinator, and kind of my role offensively is to kind of button up some loose ends that those guys may have when they meet over the weekend, and to personnel changes that we may have, injuries that we may have, making sure that we're putting each kid in the right position to be successful. If we're not asking them to do something that they're maybe not capable of, or that's not the best thing that they can do, that maybe that's something we don't want to work that week. Practice scheduling. I think that's another big part of it. Offensively, Coach Furlow does that. He does the majority of that, and it's my role. I feel as the head coach on the offensive side, as far as practice scheduling is, uh, hey, let's go a little bit longer on this period. We struggled with it a little bit yesterday, or we struggled with it last week. Let's focus a little more on that. Let's shrink this part of practice. So I think that on the offensive side for our staff is kind of where I fit this year. Uh, Coach McKnight, I talked about him earlier. He was our defense coordinator. He took another job, and so where it was in the summer, I knew we weren't going to be able to find a quality defense coordinator. So I just took over that role because I've done it before amongst our staff. I had the most experience. Excuse me. So this year, I'm obviously a lot more involved on the defensive side of the game planning and the play calling part of it each night. Uh, but I put a lot of that on our defensive staff of Coach Holloman, Coach Chat, Coach Grimmett, and Coach Roby of, working on coming up with a game plan. Uh, and I see my role too there is, you know, what can this kid do best? Let's make sure we're doing that and not putting him in a position to not be successful. those things, and then trying to tie all those together during the week in practice and on Friday night. Making sure we're subbing kids out, at our level to keep kids as fresh as we possibly can. So we got 6 or 7 that are starting both ways and playing the majority of the game both ways. Can we spell a kid here with this kid, get them a few plays off, and then have them come back in? And then, obviously on game nights is, going for it on fourth down. Are we kicking it? What are we doing here? You know, any big special teams decisions that we need to make, those are, those fall on us. But yeah, I would say the big thing is tightening up things, during the week of making sure we're getting the practice time on what things we're going to be doing Friday night, offensively, defensively, special teams, and we're not, I don't want to say wasting time on something we're not going to actually do on Friday, but we've all probably as coaches been on staffs that we practice something all week long and then get into Friday night and you don't do it. So you lost time practicing, getting better at something that you really needed to get better at. So I would say that's kind of our biggest role behind the scenes, and keeping a gauge on kids. Making sure that the kiddo that may not be your starter both ways. That's he's a special team player, to make sure that they know they're appreciated and that you do know what their role is and how much that is successful to the team. I think that keeps kids engaged, which has changed kind of over my 20-ish years of coaching. Is you know, you know, a lot of kids now want to ask the question why. That's the first thing they say whenever you're coaching something up or telling them something. They want to know the why a lot more. As far as myself as a player, and probably a lot of us, is just we're going to do whatever the coach said, no matter what. But so answering that question is different now, and making sure those kids know how important they are to the success of our team, and working that throughout the week is making sure that they understand their importance to our success.
So that wraps up all of the the tough questions.
Okay.
Now let's get into the fun stuff. Are you a college or NFL guy?
College.
Do you get to watch college, or do y'all spend Saturdays working?
Yeah, so we're off on Saturday. Huddle has changed the game so much as far as you being able to do that at home. If I have younger kids, if any of my coaches have them, I like to spend, if their kids are out playing games on Saturday, I'd like for them to be there and be a part of that. So I just ask them to do their input stuff on Saturdays, and then we all come up as a staff and meet on Sundays.
Good, 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 good. I'm a big college football guy too.
Yeah.
I do college. I do this high school deal, and I've been doing college for like 3 years now. One day, hopefully, I'll make it big in my college football talk.
Yeah.
But a lot of big games coming up this weekend. I'm excited. I think I'm going to go to the A&M game. They're playing Florida at home. But yeah, Indiana plays Oregon this week. That'll be at Oregon. That'll be a good one.
Yeah. The Pac-10 being in the Big Ten now and making that West Coast to I guess Mid America travel has been tough. I think on some of those teams wasn't too tough for UCLA last week, but that may have been at home. I just know they won. So
Yeah, for sure. They got their first win of the year, I believe.
yeah,
Nobody saw that coming.
no,
And then Michigan goes to USC as well, so that'll be a big one.
yeah.
Yeah, it's tough traveling like that. But yeah, that was my question there, college or NFL. My next question is, what's your favorite sports movie?
Oh,
I used to say football movie, but I got the same answer every time, so now it's just sports in general.
yeah. I, as a kid, basketball was really the first thing that I guess I didn't play football until I was a seventh grader. Brownsboro, when I was growing up, we didn't have a little league football. My older brother, he traveled to Tyler and played 1 year. So I didn't really do that until I was a seventh grader, other than playing in the yard with friends and cousins and all those things. I loved it growing up. But basketball was really kind of my first love. So, man, Hoosiers, Hoosiers has got to be up there. It's probably, I mean, I think my wife, she didn't watch any of those. She's a little younger than me. She didn't watch any of those 80s movies. And that's one of those that comes on and I can kind of quote it. And she hates when it comes on. But I would say that one and Rudy. Rudy would be up there. I actually played with a guy in high school, and that was his nickname. But that was those two. I would say are probably my top two.
Okay, good. Usually everybody says Friday Night or Remember the Titans or Friday Night Lights. So I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, I got to switch it up. And
I read the book, so I like it better than the movie.
the
Friday
books are
Night
10
Lights.
times better than the movies.
Yeah,
Always,
yeah.
always. Would you rather win a game 6-0 or 60-58?
Man, that's tough. I would just rather win. I've done, as being in it a while, I've done both. I know at Ore City one year we won a game 64-54, I think, against Wascom when Coach Keeling and his staff had first got there. And, I was OC then, and I remember saying down to Coach Chadwick, Coach Bobby Chadwick on the headset, like, Coach, I don't know how many more touchdown plays we have. But both of those are, both ways are exhilarating. Uh, but, it's, all of us are going to say it doesn't matter if it's 60-0 or about 1 point. We just want to win. So, man, that's a tough one. Right now, as a defensive coordinator, I'd say 6-0 because I'd hate to give up 58.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Uh, a lot of coaches say them high scoring games like that take many years off your life. Game winning touchdown or goal line stand?
I think it kind of goes back to where you are. As a player, I was able to have a game winning touchdown. Actually, that was my last game as a player. Was able to catch the game winning touchdown against Tatum. I bring that up to Coach Ross all the time because we played against each other in high school, and we're seniors together, and uh, I always bring that up to him when we're talking. But I would say as a football coach, as a head coach, it's going to be either way. And as an OC and a DC, I've had both. So I would say it's kind of whatever side of the ball that I'm coaching at that time. As a head coach, it doesn't matter. It's just get the win. But as an OC, I want to throw that game winner, have that game winning run, or as a DC is be able to make a stand at any time. Fourth down stand, goal line stand, any of that.
The goal line stand is my favorite. It used to be the game winning touchdown, but the goal line stand is the better is my more favorite answer now because it's a testament to the kids and the resolve that they have on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so scenario time.
Okay.
This scenario, and this is a tough one. So good luck. You're down 23-22, 7 seconds left in the game, but you just scored. So are you going to go for the PAT or the 2 point conversion? Here's the kicker, though. This team you're playing, it's the third round of the playoff. I believe that's the regional quarterfinal. Is that what it's called? Okay.
It's regional semifinals now.
Regional semifinal?
Yeah, because
Wherever.
fourth round will be regional finals now.
Okay. So whenever you played Grapeland last year, that's this game right here.
Yeah.
This is a rematch. You're down 23-22, 7 seconds left in the fourth. You just scored against Grapeland in the regional semifinal. You go for the PAT or the 2 point conversion?
All right, and that's if I take last year's game as the gauge, I would go for two. And the reason for that is they had control of probably 80% of that game. They were up, pretty much two scores the majority of the game, and we came screaming back to make it a one possession game and had a chance to recover an onside kick. So in that scenario, I'm going to go for two just because, my kids have exhausted everything to get back into the game and make it what it was. So we've had to expend so much more energy to catch back up versus them maintaining the lead. If we've got a chance to go win it right there, I'm going to go for two and try to win that game. Uh, Different scenario, on the other end of it, if I'm in the flip side of that, uh, and I had the lead, I'm probably going to try to extend it because of understanding that team spent so much energy to get back into the game. We were in that same boat last year also against Mount. I think it was 28-7 at half, and we're able to come back and tie that game up late and then get the game winning field goal from Jackson. So it's a it's a game by game feel, I think, of where we're at. But if I used last year's Grapeland game as my uh, example, I would went for two in that scenario against those guys, and they're
Well,
super explosive offensively. So,
yes, sir. And that's a team that you played. You beat them last year in the regular season. They knocked you out in the playoff, and then this year they beat you in the district already.
yes,
But all of those games have been pretty good ones, right?
yeah. The crazy thing, last year's first game in district, I think we went up. I know we went up 14-0. Could have been 21-0. We scored, recovered an onside kick, scored, recovered an onside kick, and I'm pretty sure we went down and scored again. Well, they come back and take the lead in that game, 28-21, and then we find a way to get back in it uh, and win that first one. And then, the second one, they controlled, like I said, the majority of the game. And the fourth quarter, we made a furious run to get back into it. And I'd say even this first game this year, I'd love to play those guys again because that would mean we'd be playing in the third round again. But that was kind of the same scenario. They had control of most of the game, but our kids, they don't have a give up in them, and they fought their way back into it. And we actually scored to tie it up, but we had a holding penalty on that play, and they ended up taking it down and kicking a field goal to make it a 10-point game. So, it's been some good battles between us two for three games. So, like I said, I'd love to play them again just for the fact of we'd be playing in the third round. So,
The last question: if somebody wants to come watch Lovelady play Overton is it Friday night?
yes, sir.
Somebody
Yeah, you
wants to
never
come
know for
watch.
us.
What was that, sir?
I said you never know for us. We've had some Thursdays. We had a Saturday last week, and it's you never know what day, but it is Friday this week.
Okay. Yeah, Walking. They played like 3 games in a row on Thursday nights to start the season with. But if someone wants to come watch Lovelady play Overton this Friday night, Overton's a small town, not much there. Where should they get a bite to eat at?
Well, I mean, you got two choices really. Well, I guess, you got four choices. You got a Dairy Queen, which I live in Longview, and all our Dairy Queens closed down. So if I ever want Dairy Queen, I get one here in Overton. We have a couple Mexican food places, La Hacienda and El Regio, and then we have a little pizza place, Milano's. That's which is crazy. We have open campus lunch here. So our kiddos are able to go out into town, and most of them will walk down to La Hacienda, and they'll grab them a bite there, or Milano's. Those are usually two fastest places. So I guess if we as coaches have like an in-service day or something, we're probably going to La Hacienda. You can't beat Tex-Mex. So
La Hacienda.
yeah,
You said you live in Longview?
yeah.
How far of a drive is that?
It's about 40 minutes. I live on the north side, kind of in the East Mountain area.
Okay. I lived in Longview for about 2 years. I started working at the sheriff's office up
Uh,
there. I worked there for like almost 2 years, and then I moved back down here and I work for the police department in Center now.
okay.
Um, but yeah, I lived on Bill Owens Parkway, if you know where that's at.
Yeah. When I lived in Spring Hill, one of the places I lived as a kid there was on Bill Owens. But yeah, no, I've been in Longview, other than really my college time, uh, since probably 95, 96. Other than when I lived in Texarkana when I coached at New Boston. Then my time at SFA. But other than that, since 95, 96, I've probably lived in Longview. You know, 80-85% of my life since then. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, it's a pretty good drive. You know, in the mornings, gives you a chance to kind of get ready and prepared for the day. It's a little tough on you know, we finished up Saturday doing laundry, doing stats, and you know, heading back home at 2 a.m. is that's a little tougher after getting there at, you know, 6-7 a.m. So the drive homes are always a little tougher than the drive to work.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this on short notice. I hope
Mm-hmm.
you guys stay healthy, have a great year, and hopefully y'all can get over that hump. And I hope y'all play in December. Okay.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the time, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good one.
All right.